Mike, is this okay?
Yeah, you sound good.
Okay.
Here we are.
Might want to be a little closer, right? If it's possible. It's a little low.
Let's see.
Make it a little closer.
It's okay. Futzing with a mic. All right. I guess I'll just stand very close to the computer.
There you go. No one will know. I don't even know what that means. No one will know.
Just bounce around. We're trying to stand. We're standing more.
Standing's good for broadcasting. It is. Keeps your diaphragm open. You project better.
Yeah.
I'm a big stand on the radio guy. But
what's the split normally with radio hosts between sitting and standing?
I would say a very large percentage of music radio DJs stand because they're only talking for a couple of minutes, so it's a little easier. At work at WFAN, the only person I knew that stood, no, Craig Carton stood, Keith McPherson stood. Everybody else sits down. You sound better when you stand, but our studios are not built particularly well for standing either. They're built for sitting, whereas a lot of music radio studios are built for standing. Mike, I'm not the only one. Up. Mike, I'm not the only one.
Stand up for you.
There you go. Oh, there
That's
you
it. Go. I want a CJ chest pod. No, don't move this screen. You're fine.
Nope. Too late. It's going up.
Moving up slowly. Wow. Is that a slow rise?
What is that? Is that like a mechanical?
I don't have a fast mode on my desk to stand up, unfortunately.
Oh, interesting. Mine is a manual, so I can push it up and down as fast as I want.
Yeah. No, I have a little button.
Mine is high enough. Should we all stand?
Why not?
Group stretch.
Get the blood flowing.
Hey, if you're listening to this podcast, you're watching it, stand up.
Hey, we're all standing.
We can stand up together.
Yeah. You know the thing that sucks about standing for me is the static electricity with this rug. I get a lot of crackling. We're standing.
No rug in here.
Look at this.
Look at this. Look at the strength of all this standing. All right, let's do this. The right CJ doesn't like the 7:30 games now. I have a buddy in the hatred of late games. The Rights Ricky Sanchez podcast is presented by DraftKings Sportsbook. Sign up for DraftKings Sportsbook by using promo code RTRS. And brought to you by Mortgage CS. Become a Mortgage CS Ricky. No, not Mortgage CS. Love them, though. Briggs Auction, the official auction of the process at briggsauction.com. Love you anyway, Mortgage CS, but you're not in this one. Big Barker Therapeutic Dog Beds. Get yours at bigbarker.com/Ricky, and Kinetic Skateboarding. Get 9.1% off your first order with promo code Dave Silver. On the show today, Joel Embiid keeps missing games, and the Sixers keep losing games. It kind of sucks. Sixers January. Kind of blows so far. Doc Rivers continues his It Wasn't Me tour, and we are a month from the trade deadline. I did mention Kinetic Skateboarding. Oh, boy. So I was at work, and I was mentioning in the filter in, coworker Keith, and Keith's foot doctor told him he needed some New Balances. He had never worn New Balance before, and he's like, I was going to go to the outlet. But then I pointed him to the Kinetic Skateboarding website because you're going to find New Balance there that you're not going to find anywhere else. That's one of the best things about the Kinetic website. From New Balance to Nike to Vans to Converse, you're going to find stuff there that you're not going to find anywhere else, along with the fabulous selection of clothes, hoodies, jackets, and if you're a snowboarder, it's wintertime, they're your snowboarding headquarters as well. Go to kineticskateboarding.com, use code DaveSilver for 9.1% off your first order. Without any further ado, Amos and the chef.
We were right, y'all. We were right. Even when it went wrong, we were right. We was right, y'all. We were right. So say the name. Say the name. We were right, y'all. We were right. Even when it went wrong, we were right. We were right, y'all. We were
Welcome to the Rights Ricky Sanchez podcast. I'm Spike Eskin, along with a guy who is attending Marcus Morris's Key to the City ceremony on Thursday morning. That is one Mike Levin.
Tell you this, I'm locking the door. Key doesn't work. Door's locked. Bolted it.
I don't know if I can watch the non-Embiid games. I think I might have to check out.
Is that what you meant by your Harden stance earlier in this offseason?
Yes. Yeah.
I thought that's what you meant. Yes. I mean, it's tough. I did think that the offense looked a lot better in this game. I thought that it was nice that I felt like it didn't feel like until the end, really. It didn't feel like it had to be all Maxey doing everything. And they were getting decent offense from other guys, and Maxey was allowed to be some more of like a catch and shoot guy. That was nice. Couple off of cuts. But the big issue, like kind of once again, is rebounding without Joel. And
they just don't have a lot of size up there. You know,
they don't have a lot of size. And then Nick gets mad at BBall for doing a couple things. And look, God bless his sweetheart. But like, probably not best for BBall to go end to end when Maxey is staring at him and be like, "This, my hands are here. Hand me the ball."
I kind of worry that BBall may have broken Nick Nurse tonight, actually.
Maybe. I do think aside from a couple things, a couple decisions that are frustrating, and I understand that.
Fine.
I thought he played very well. I thought it was maybe his best like game around the rim.
Yeah.
The Hawks are a tough team to play because Trey gets so many good floaters, and then when they overplay the floater, he can just give it to a lob to whatever big guy is rolling and lobbing. And a personal attack, how easy it is for everyone in the Hawks to catch lobs and receive lobs and throw lobs. Sixers did have one. Nice Maxey to Oubre one, but Tobias, poor guy, can't throw a lob for his life.
B-ball, if B-ball would just his I thought he played well tonight. I will stand by him. I do think he is. I think Dan Olinger made a sort of good comment in his article, or as a follow-up tweet to his article this week, in that B-ball seems to be good in the games that he's backing up Embiid, but his flaws become sort of magnified in the full games when Embiid is not in there. But
he's a backup center. No one thinks B-ball should start.
I stand behind him. I thought he played good tonight. But the brain fart percentage has increased, like the try and B-ball shit thing.
I think percentage-wise now we're analytical per 36. I think per 36 the brain farts are exactly the same.
We're just
if
getting
not
more. We're getting more.
It's just
minutes.
You're seeing it a little bit more maybe, but yeah, I mean, you know, if I'm the point guard in this team and I have guys that I've played basketball with where I go like, I'm not letting you dribble. I'm not letting you make a choice. I'm not letting you think about anything. I'm coming and getting the ball from you. And nobody on the Sixers really does that much. It seems like they a little bit trust him to make the right call. Like, he got a couple pick and pops at the nail like Joel. That's not something I would probably be throwing him. I do think he had a couple of really nice high-low passes to Tobias. One really beautiful one to Batum. Yeah, I thought he made a bunch of plays around the rim on defense. He got in foul trouble early, but didn't have a foul the rest of the game. Only played 19 minutes, which I thought was a mistake. Yeah, the calling your own number all the way up the court is tough. And when he misses, it looks really bad. His misses look worse than anybody else's.
Well, almost all of his makes are like, no. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
It's like a very nice up and under that he got fouled on. Nice little hook shot off of a Maxey pass off that he spun into. I still want more dunks, obviously, but I really thought he was fine, and I kind of didn't understand unless Nick Nurse was doing more of a Doc Rivers style coaching of, you make one mistake going up court, fine, I'll bring you back in, but then you do another where you're like taking like a tough fadeaway where you fall down and also don't get back on defense afterwards because you're like in the crowd. He didn't play the rest of the game, and I do think that was a mistake. They lost this game because they couldn't get rebounds in big moments. They were backbreaking rebounds, and it's just like that's Marcus Morris and Tobias Harris are not going to go up and get contested rebounds. But they're not going to. They are too slow to the ball. They don't react fast enough. They can't jump. They just don't have the instincts for it. And the guys on Atlanta, whether it's Jalen Johnson, who had an excellent game, Sadiq Bey, or Kongu obviously is big and physical down there. Like they are, without Covington and Joel, obviously especially Joel, but Covington is their best wing rebounder. They keep giving up so many offensive rebounds, so many second chances, so many easy looks for them. And they win this game if they just rebounded better, if they were first to a couple balls, and they weren't.
I'm going to stand up for Nick Nurse a little here in that it does seem that B-Ball in a sort of Pavlov dogs situation reacts to, like, Doc did the same thing, and now Nick Nurse is doing the same thing, where when he does something, they pull him because it seems like playing time is the way to get through to him. You know, like I love him, but you can't have the moments that he has when he's like not in garbage time. Like you can't do this. I get it. And you can say like, well, this guy made more mistakes than this guy, but I sort of understand why Nurse did it, even if it was the proverbial cutting off your nose to spite your face, even if they lost the game because of it. I get it. Yeah,
everybody's different as far as like how they like to be coached. Like if that is effective for B-ball, like if you do this kind of thing, you will get pulled as like a consequence, then that works. Then I guess his coaching staff should know that and should know that that is effective. If it is just punitive and punishment, one time Alyssa made when I was coaching.
There we go.
Sorry. I coach basketball in Los Angeles. Coach Mike. Coach Mike. When she does this, do that. I ran a 1-2-1 zone. Coach my ass off. She made a bad pass, and I pulled her right afterwards, and she got very mad at me. She was like, "That's not how I like to be coached." And I was like, "Okay, yeah." You just gotta know your players.
You pulled your wife from a
I pulled my wife. I put her back in. It wasn't for the whole game, but I did pull her in that moment. I was like, she should know that that's not a pass you can make on my team. But no, that was bad. It was a mistake. So don't teach your wife a lesson by pulling her in rec league basketball. But maybe that's the right way to play Paul. Maybe if Nick Nurse and BBall Paul were married, he would know that. And that's something that I think Nick Nurse has a good coach
with.
should trick it out. Marry your players. It was. I didn't think it was. There were a couple things that Nick Nurse did tonight that I thought was good, and I think it was a little bit confusing how often he left in bad defenders in like we need defense times, and even Mo Bamba, who I thought played pretty good, especially at the end. Like he comes in just to win the tip. He doesn't win the tip. They try to sub him out. They cannot. He stays in and he makes big plays, a number of blocks, a bunch of offensive rebounds. I thought he was really adding some energy there, and then they bring in Marcus Morris for him eventually, and then they lose because they couldn't get a fucking rebound. And not that BBall Paul or Mo Bamba's an excellent rebounder unless it's almost directly to him. But yeah, I thought it was a confusing. I know that he wants to get an edge, and he feels like everybody's spreading out and having Morris is shooting, which he was, pretty good tonight as a shooter. That's what he should be doing. He should be taking catch and shoot threes. That's like essentially all he should be doing. Let him fly. But it's confusing to be like, they are not rebounding and we're going to go the other way and play fewer rebounders. I find to be a confusing decision on Nurse's part.
Did I mention I don't want to watch the non-Embiid games anymore?
Yeah.
I think I did love Maxey's fourth quarter explosion with the dunks and I really thought he was winning us that game. Would have been a nice signature win for him.
Yeah.
And also like you can't man, him fouling out in overtime, like if
a weak ass call.
Yeah.
He's sliding his feet. He's not reaching. He's not slapping down. It's just that just doesn't have to be a call that's made in overtime when Maxey probably got hit on the hand. I'm fine with that no call there also. It would have been really nice for Maxey to get a shot up there. Because you're right, like that stretch in the fourth quarter where it was Maxey dunk going left, and then the next possession, a couple possessions later, a two-handed dunk around Dejounte Murray and through Onyeka Okongwu was so fucking cool. Then he forces a tough, like physical, like Kyle Lowry-esque physical post play to force Dejounte Murray to take a fadeaway, contest it hard, misses way short, and then a step back. That was like some of the most dominant two-way play that I have seen from a Sixer that isn't Joel Embiid since like maybe Charles Barkley. Like he just took over in that moment, and it felt like earnestly that should have happened. That should have been the game. They should have won the game on that.
When they went up
really,
4 or 5 or whatever it was down the stretch there.
Yeah, well, a really,
yeah.
really dumb foul from Kelly Oubre to foul Jalen Johnson when they're up 4.
Yep.
He just hits him on the head, helping, and it's just really stupid shit. And then the rebounding, which we talked about, and a lot of overhelping, obviously, which many people were tweeting me about. It is really tough to watch. I mean, like, yeah, there's look, it's regular season, you're shorthanded, whatever. I need Nick Nurse to be more aggressive in taking Marcus Morris's ass off the fucking court for defense, at least. If you want to put him in for offense because he's one of the better catch and shoot 3-point shooters, and he's a fine shooter or a fine screener, that's fine. But like him being in possessions where you need a stop, what the fuck are you trying to do to me? It is a joke. Like, he misses a rebound that allows Jalen to tie it. He turns it over, which it was going to be a good pass to Tobias in the corner. Guy made a nice play, fine. But then inexplicably, after he turns it over, he decides to cover Trae Young on defense on that play. Everyone else on the defense is like, what is going on? Why is he deputized himself to do this? They're all scrambling to do something. An easy swing to Jalen Johnson for 3 while they're like figuring out what's going on. And then that gives them the lead for good. And also he missed another rebound when Sadiq Bey got it over him. Like, he just can't be in those possessions, man. He cannot be in those possessions. You are going to lose games consistently because you, for whatever reason, have a crush on Marcus Morris playing as many minutes as possible when he shouldn't be. Like, the threes, let him shoot those catch and shoot threes. I'm fine with it. I love it. That's great. That's what he should be doing, especially shorthanded. Let him fly. But like, man, you got to get his ass out for defense. It's embarrassing. It's embarrassing, and hopefully someone in the press conference is asking him that now, because like that he should be held accountable for that.
Probably it was in Atlanta. I can't imagine. It's just Keith Pompey there, I think.
Keith.
Yeah.
I'm going to text him.
The Rights to Ricky Sanchez podcast is brought to you by Briggs Auction. The second Briggs Auction sports memorabilia, sneakers, and collectibles auction is going on right now. The auction ends on Friday. Incredible selection of sneakers and sports memorabilia. I'm looking at the sneakers right now. Here we go. Jordan 11 retro low navy gum. Are you a shoe guy, Mike? You're not a shoe guy, right?
Not really. Like, I like shoes that I like, but wouldn't say I'm like I've never stood in line for a shoe.
We have the Jordan.
That shouldn't surprise you, right?
No, it doesn't surprise me.
Okay.
The Jordan 1 retro mellow, the Jordan 14 retro black toe, the Jordan 11 retro Eris. That is a woman's shoe. The Jordan 6 retro pinnacle. Tons and tons and tons of sneakers. And then you get to the collectibles. You got an autographed Tyrese Maxey basketball in there. You got the autograph, Bobby Abreu baseball. Outbid Mike on that one right there. You got all different, a couple of Tyrese Maxey rookie cards in there. Just like a ton of different shit. Autographed Jerry Stackhouse sneakers. Go to BriggsAuction.com. That is BriggsAuction.com. Or download the Briggs Auction app in the App Store or Google Play, BRIGGS. Check it out. Of course, once the sports collectibles auction is over, there's other auctions every week. Discovery auctions, estate auctions, clothes, art, furniture, all that kind of stuff. But right now, I want you to focus on the sports memorabilia and sneakers auction. Again, go to BriggsAuction.com or download the app in Google Play or the App Store. If you have a bunch of stuff that you think is worth money that you would like to auction off, send them an email, info@BriggsAuction.com. Briggs Auction, the official auction of the process.
Speaking of sneakers,
yep,
it was my nephew Austin's 15th birthday 2 days ago. Austin, who listens to this podcast, might be watching
Austin.
right now. is coming to fly the process, actually.
Oh, really?
Yes, very excited.
Good to hear.
My dad's picking him up in Phoenix and coming to LA. That'll be fun.
Okay.
I got for Austin's birthday, he just texted me that he just got his present. It was a pair of Tyrese Maxey New Balances.
Oh, there you go.
I got for his birthday. He's very excited. Kids love Maxey, man.
Happy birthday.
And Maxey played great. I thought it was a great
when we
Maxey
started
game.
this podcast, he was 4?
Yeah, fuck. Yeah.
Wow.
That's good. That's good to think about.
Yeah.
I thought it was a great Maxey game. He got it's a lot on his legs. He gets tired. He fucking so much energy and stuff. He missed a couple shots he should have made. That stretch of him and Tobias, man, like missing those layups was
Not
pretty
great.
brutal
Yeah.
and very difficult for me, especially Tobias not dunking. I like that Maxey took it personally and then dunked his ass off the rest of the game. But I thought it was a great Maxey game. I thought he had maybe one of his best passing, especially without Embiid, one of his best passing games of the season. Really nice couple scoops to B-ball, a couple swings to the corner. I thought, I'm noticing him attacking more with his left lately. I think that with guys overplaying his right as much as they are because of how fast he is with it, I think they're kind of daring him to go left. And usually he just goes left and then gets into a step back that way. But he's been getting downhill with it, which I really think is nice to see and going to be helpful, especially in the playoffs when guys take away the easiest thing. I love when he catches a guy reaching and goes up and rises up to get the foul and also has enough body control and patience or balance to still hit the mid-range jumper. That's nice. And he's been, he's 4 of 11 from deep tonight, not bad, but he's been cold from deep lately. You can feel it. Mm-hmm. He's something about it is not right, whether it's just a cold stretch or he's in his head or he's second guessing or whatever it is.
He's firing away, which is good.
Yeah, well, there were a couple times he wasn't, but what I loved is even if he missed a shot that he really should have made, he knows he should have made it. He immediately the next play strips Trae Young and starts the transition in the other way. And he's just a really tough. He had 4 steals tonight. I like that he shouldn't have gotten 6 fouls. I think there were some of those calls that I thought were pretty weak, but he's a tougher player than the kinds of point guards, shooting guards who are known more for their offense are. Like I see the Jamal Murray style development on the defensive end where, Tyrese not as big as Jamal, but becoming not a negative on the defensive end at his size, just because he's strong, because he has quick hands, and because he fucking wants to, and he takes it personally. And there were times tonight when Atlanta was attacking him, and I thought that you could tell he was pissed off about that, and I like seeing him make plays on the other end. I think it's great. I really wanted to see a game winner from him. That would have been really cool if he just. I think he was about to get into his little floater.
Tonight was going to be the night. Man. Well, you know what? That fucking where he got stripped. It was like one move too many.
I know.
He made one.
It was good defense by Dejounte also in that moment. But yeah.
And I would have loved to give Tobias credit for tonight, but passing up that 3 at in the last minute of the game on the wide open 3 on a breakaway when they're down 5, and I think that's what the situation was.
Oh, I don't remember it.
Yeah,
I don't remember it. I might have already mentally checked out after giving up too many rebounds. But yeah, I mean, it was a good Tobias game. They never win the good Tobias games, do they?
No.
It is him getting to his spots in the mid range, Daddy getting all the touches he needs. He was finishing pretty well when he gets the guy when he can sort of use his offhand or use his body to position to sort of hoard off the shot blocker.
He never passes when he's a ball handler in pick and roll. Ever.
He did have a very nice pass at the top of the key, not in a pick and roll, you're right, but to Maxey cutting down the baseline. That was a nice look. He just, dude, you got to dunk. Like, I don't know how much more I can say it. Like, you got to be able to just rise up and dunk over somebody when they're trying to block it. And he gets a shot block so much, and there's just too many variables into it. When you start going, I'm just going to go up soft here and just missing shots. Go dunk. I know I'm saying the same. I say 4 things a podcast, and I know what they all are.
Help defense. Go dunk.
Help defense, dunking. I think the listeners could probably provide the things I just repeat over and over again. But you just can't go up so soft sometimes. He goes up so soft. Okongwu like could have blew out a birthday candle on the dunk he left. He put it up so soft. And it's just it can't happen, dude. I'm tired of saying the same thing, but he keeps doing it. And I think that his defense in pick and roll is another reason why you can't play him in small ball lineups, because he's just so bad. They put him in drop coverage and he's not affecting anybody. He's not affecting the roller. He's not affecting the drive. He's just backpedaling. He's just working on his backpedal. He may as well be in the gym by himself. Like there's not anything he's going to do with that. It was a good Tobias offensive game. He had a really, really bunch of tough mid-range finishes, but that is bad for them. They will not win the Tobias games. They will not win the games where he is money for the mid-range. And do you know how many threes he attempted in this game?
2.
2 threes. Made one. Yeah. Not enough. Not enough.
Did I mention I don't think I can watch the non-Embiid game.
They had a lineup of, I think they did this twice. No, maybe there was there was a minor switch the second time, but Beverly, Springer, Oubre, KJ Martin, and Marcus Morris. Is this some sort of a sick joke?
Yeah.
Is this a joke? Are we being fucking? I mean, if you put that lineup in and Nick Nurse is like, no. Just kidding. Hang on. Like, that'd be fine. But I do not understand that lineup whatsoever. I do not understand it at all. Maybe it's just like we're going to fuck shit up lineup, but I don't think that satisfied that. It was good to have Melton back.
And then he didn't play down the stretch. Do you think maybe he was hurt again?
Maybe there was a minutes cap.
Oh,
He's questionable coming into tonight. He didn't play that much, but I thought he was helpful when he was in there. And I really, there's so many guys that don't get better, especially shooting. We've done this podcast for 11 years now, or we're on our 11th year.
Yep.
And there's so many guys who do not get better at shooting. And Melton keeps getting better. It was not that he just became a reliable shooter off the catch, but it was that he is now hitting, and has been hitting difficult, rise up, quick catch and shoots off the move. And he's really developed that game a lot since college, and I want to give him credit because it's easy to call out, being a Sixers fan and rooting for all the players who never developed a three, MCW, Ben Simmons, Markelle Fultz, Jaden Springer, everybody, Jonah Bolden, KJ McDaniels, Tony Roten. We can keep going. But Melton really has gotten better and continues to make that not just a threat, but they have to cover him on it. They have to be up top on him, and now he's which allows him to get more straight line drive stuff. So I thought he was great. I really missed his outlet passes. Had a nice bomb to Tobias in transition. That's always helpful. But he leaves his man too much to help, and every single time, without fail, his man will take a three, and I think he shoots 80% on him. When Melton leaves his guy, and they whoever he doubles or soft doubles to help, his guy shoots 80% on threes on those. I've looked at the stats. They're my stats. I can confirm. It's brutal.
We got a call about your help defense, 833 lick face. This is a good idea.
Hey, this is Josh, miserable Pistons fan again. I'm just calling to vote for the song to use when Mike uses his references to help defense over helping. You should use a clip from that guy who sent in the "We Didn't Start the Fire" song. It's just as embarrassing hearing that guy sing mumble in his closet as it is to hear Mike endlessly talk about no help defense. Other than that, if you want to star hunt one of the Pistons, if anyone's looking for a worse version of Jason Maxiell, please take Isaiah Stewart. Love the pod.
That's solid. I love a miserable fan base, man. Yeah. That's great.
I had forgotten about the 4.5 minute we didn't start the fire
quietly
parody.
Whispering from a closet. Yeah. Pretty rough. Man, Nick Batum is so good, but I do not trust him on the shots that a regular person would make.
Yeah,
when he's wide open,
it's got to be the quick ones.
It's got to be the quick ones where there's no dip and there's a guy running at him 100 miles an hour. He cannot make the regular ones. That's pretty interesting. The 2 blocks on the same play was pretty sick. blocking Okongwu and Bey reminds us of the Dario Saric triple block when Embiid was on the bench and then shoved him in the ass. I believe that was against the Raptors when Dario made those plays and Embiid shoved him off the ass. That was fun. But really nice defense from Batum down the stretch. They should have won this game. This would have been a really nice game to win. A relatively, aside from Capella and DeAndre Hunter, who are fine but easily replaceable for Atlanta, they're a relatively healthy Atlanta team. Should have won this game. This is a game that they should have won. Now they've lost 3 in a row, and Joel doesn't have a timeline to come back. But at least he got that 30-10 streak. Still cooking. Still cooking 30-10.
Well, he's only, I think, 70 games behind Wilt. So
good.
He'll go down in the annals of sports history. So I'd like to speak to Vegas. Are we done with this fucking game? I think Embiid comes back Friday against the Kings. It'll be nice to have Embiid back. I think Nick Nurse said that the swelling was no longer an issue in his knee, and he should be back Friday against the Kings.
Be nice to have Embiid. Be nice to have Covington. I do think this was really good Jaden Springer defense on Trae Young, especially in the first half. Fun to see him navigating through screens, getting skinny, forcing tough shots. Too many fouls. Hopefully refs give him the benefit of the doubt more when he gets more minutes, but he gets called for a lot of fouls. And I think Pat Bev is just good. Are you to place? We can talk about Star Hunter, which actually we should talk about as far as Dejounte and Bogdan in this game.
Yep.
But I look at the depth of this team, and especially with Covington, and when they go to 8 or 9 guys in rotation in the playoffs, Pat Bev is a guy that
he can play,
should play.
Yeah.
And he's not a backup point guard. He cannot do that. You're asking him to do too much for it. But when you just get him in there and say go do something, he can hit he hits. I think he's shooting 95% on floaters. It's crazy. Those things just don't miss.
It's like he found a fountain of youth. I don't ever remember seeing him play like this, the way that he's playing.
Yeah, offensively
when he's aggressive.
He's been pretty good, and he's been, after a slow start from 3, he's been relatively good, even though it takes him a while to get it off. The Pat Bev, the Oubre, the occasional Jaden Springer for defense, depending on the right team, the occasional Marcus Morris for offense when you can hide him somewhere. Obviously, Covington. I just don't think another role player is the answer. And that's why I look at the guys that you're this guy could be a role player, but just I need a top 45 player in the league to come here if I'm going to actually improve this team, I think.
Well, we will get to that in 1 second. Now, Mike, before we get to Vegas Mike, actually, I would like to, we have to give a congratulations. And I saw that he's in the chat. I was going to do it on Saturday, but we'll just do it today. Congratulations to the Ricky's own Jason Lipschutz.
Already did it.
Did
it when you were puking your guts out.
Oh.
That's 2 congratulations, Jason. You'll have to have another child for that.
Yeah. And then did you put the picture up?
No picture. We can do the picture, but we can't say anything about it.
Okay. So let's talk about the Eagles while the picture is up on the screen. Vegas Mike.
Yeah.
When I asked you about the final, and please keep the picture up as we discuss this, I asked you the final Eagles game of the year. I said, the Eagles-Giants game, final regular season game, I said, Vegas Mike, DraftKings Sportsbook. As I'm looking at the line here, I think the Eagles were a 4-point favorite in that final game against the Giants. I said, Vegas Mike, is there any chance the Eagles just blow the Giants out and give us an easy one to end the season?
What did I say?
You said, absolutely not.
Absolutely not.
And we did not get it. So now I'm looking at the DraftKings Sportsbook app now.
I know the line.
What's that?
I know the line. I can't guess it.
Well, yeah. So the Eagles are currently -3.
Yeah. It was 2.5. Then it went down to 2 or 1.5, and now it's back up to 3.
So Vegas Mike, the DraftKings Sportsbook odds -3. What say you? Eagles at Tampa. Now Tampa obviously won you a bunch of money. They're your Tampa Bay Bucks this year.
Did. I bet the Bucks to win the division, and they did.
Mike, Eagles -3.
So I'll tell you what I did.
Okay.
I took the money that I won by betting the Bucks +850
to
win the division at the beginning of the year. And I took that money and I bet Tampa to not only cover but win money line. The Eagles aren't good.
What?
The Eagles are not good. They are a bad team. Now, do I think like in my gut?
You took the winnings from. Hold on, time out. You
Yeah.
took the winnings from your plus 850 Tampa to win the NFC South, and you let it ride on Tampa over the Eagles in the playoffs.
But I would have done it if it was anybody. It's not a Tampa specific bet. There was no team in the playoffs. Even if the Steelers had played the Eagles somehow, I would bet the Eagles to lose money line. Now, do I think in my gut that the Eagles are going to win to spite me? Absolutely.
Good.
Absolutely.
You deserve to lose every penny.
Why? In what way? Because I'm making a wrong bet, or because you think I'm being a bad fan?
It just feels like insult to injury in that not only are you betting against them, but you're betting against them with these giant winnings. It like immediately, like everything about it feels wrong to do.
I kept $40 for myself.
Okay.
And I bet a little bit of it. So I'm still going to be up no matter what.
Okay.
On the season. I don't make that many bets. But the ones I do, I feel strongly about. And this one, it just feels like I'm betting this more as a punishment to the Eagles. It's like, it's me saying like,
Sure.
fuck you.
Sure.
Fuck
That
you
sounds
for
fair.
being as bad as you are.
They
and I
are
do
pretty
think
bad.
I'm sorry to DraftKings, but I just got to say it. Nick Sirianni and all the coordinators, all three of them, should have been fired on Sunday night. They should have fired every single player,
agree
every
with you.
single coach on the team. Not every coach, but like any position coach that has any juice, make that person the coach. Fucking Jeff Stoutland, you're the head coach for this week. And just see if you can get some juice from anybody to win a we have nothing to lose playoff game on the road.
I'd have
and
made
just
Britton
play your
Covey
ass
the
off.
coach. Like he could have been take an injured player. You should
Fletcher
have
Cox,
Fletcher
you're
Cox.
the coach. Brandon
Be-
Graham.
Be like Varsity Blues.
Who cares?
Run
They
in.
have been the worst team in football in professional sports for this long. I encourage everyone to bet against the Eagles.
I would have fired him just so he didn't have the chance to win the playoff game.
And I think probably they will win to spite
Yeah.
me, but they shouldn't. And if they don't, I won't feel bad about betting against them because fuck them.
DraftKings Sportsbook, an official sports betting partner of the NBA. Right now, if you're a new customer, bet $5 and get $200 instantly in bonus bets by using code RTRS. Download the DraftKings Sportsbook app now with code RTRS. New customers bet $5 on the NBA and get $200 instantly in bonus bets. And with those bonus bets, throw them on whoever's playing the Eagles.
Anybody.
Only at DraftKings Sportsbook with code RTRS. The crown is yours. Gambling problem, call 1-800-GAMBLER. Got to be 21. See show notes for details.
And if they win this week, somehow I'm going to bet the same amount of money on whoever they play next week because this week have been a fluke. Some rain fluke or Baker will get hurt. Everybody will die. They're so bad. They are such a bad top to bottom football team. It, on a moral level, upsets me. They don't deserve to be playing. I wish that they didn't show up to Tampa. I wish that they said, we honestly would rather not.
Hey, so we're going to do this. Before we get to Star Hunter, I have one thing I wanted to play you. But before we do, we haven't mentioned any discomfort with it. I don't like this Embiid knee swelling thing. What's it swelling from? Why is it swelling?
Not swelling with pride
Well, maybe that's the problem. Maybe it's just so proud. Maybe
Yeah.
his knee is so proud.
of his son.
Yeah, little.
My knee is so proud of my son. It's swelling to maximum levels. No, it's not good. I don't know.
Podcast is so stupid. Yeah, I'm not comfortable with it. So
No, me neither.
Doc Rivers used to be the head coach of the Philadelphia
right.
76ers.
I forgot we're going to do this.
Oh,
Okay.
wait, hold on.
You know,
You can make me listen?
The number one ability is availability, right?
Okay, so that guy used to be the head coach of the 76ers. And
If you've listened to this podcast for like 2+ years, you know how much on so many levels that quote upsets me.
You
On every single level,
the
every
number one
possible level.
Ability is availability, right?
so,
Right? Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
So he appeared.
Bill Simmons going, yeah.
He appeared on the Bill Simmons podcast, as he seems to do regularly. And I saw this clip on the internet, and here is Doc talking about I think Bill sets up the question quite well.
How unsettling is that when you're the coach of a team and half of the guys on your team are like, if this doesn't go well, I'm going to just be trade rumors from that point on. Versus where you have a team like, I don't know, the Celtics or OKC, where those guys are all like, we're all together. Like if they make a trade, they'll just be adding somebody, but none of us are going anywhere. We have a real nucleus. I think part of the problem with some of the LeBron teams, especially the last 10 years, is it always felt like the nucleus was just him and AD or him and AD and Reeves, and everyone else was kind of up for grabs. How do you manage that as a coach when everybody is basically always available?
It is so hard. It's brutally hard. One of the problems, probably had many, but one of the problems I had with Daryl was that he talked too much, and so from a coaching standpoint, and I got this from guys in Houston when he came to say you got to get him to talk less, because trying to coach a team every day, right? And your guys are mentioned every day in trades. And then here comes the coach. Hey, I want you to play a lesser role, or I want you to do this. And he's like, why? You guys talk about me every day about being traded.
Right.
I'm not buying in it makes it hard. And so like Darvin right now, every day, one of his players is mentioned that the Lakers, this guy will fit with LeBron. And players start thinking at times, where is that coming from? Is that coming from the Lakers? Is that coming from LeBron? It just creates a major issue. I remember we had late, it was maybe 2010 or 9. I was working out, that's a story right there, right? I'm on a treadmill at my residence where I was staying in Boston, where I live, and I'm watching the Sports Center, and they come on the Rondo trade, and I'm like, wait, what? I've never heard of this trade. What they were talking about, whatever the trade was, I have never heard that guy's name mentioned, and I called Danny, because it led Sports Center. It was big. And he was like, this is absurd. But now
Rondo's side-eyeing you guys.
Yeah, I got to go talk to Rondo. And, and Rondo was great, but he did say it's coming from somewhere. And I said, Rondo, I'm telling you, it's not coming from here. And all right, fortunately, we had
That's enough. So if you'll remember, Mike, when Daryl was on this podcast, all I asked him to do was to just tell me what he liked about Nick Nurse. And he was so respectful of this dipshit Doc Rivers that he wouldn't even tell me what he liked about Nick Nurse, because it would sound like it was a condemnation of Doc Rivers. And here is Doc just every other week, like just fucking, was it Silk the Shocker? It ain't my fault. Or was it? Yeah, it's not my fault. Just his new reason why something else was his fault. And this time it's that Daryl talks too much. Mike, your thoughts? Oh, Mike is muted. And this isn't me, is it, CJ?
Good?
Yeah, there you go. There you go.
Touch my microphone. Weird.
Mike, your thoughts?
My microphone just repelling Doc Rivers quote. He just lies so much. And I know we're getting to the Maxey conversation, but
oh, I wasn't going to play that.
Oh, we're not going to do that. Okay, anyway, He lied about Maxey being the one to come off the bench.
Yeah.
Like, obviously that was a lie at the time.
Yeah.
It's like, man, it was his idea to do it. I don't even think he knows he's lying at this point. I think he's just like inventing realities in his head and then going about the process of convincing himself and others that is what happened. Now, sure, Daryl does talk too much. He's not wrong about that in that situation. If I was the head of PR for the Sixers, I would not love Daryl talking too much, but that endears himself to some fans, certainly endears himself to us. And he just wants to talk shit and act like everything was not his fault. And at the end of his clip that you cut out was like, luckily me and Rondo had such a good relationship. Like you can tell when someone is full of shit when every single story makes themselves look like the happy-go-lucky good guy in it. And even the bad things that he says about himself to like make him seem relatable is like, well, I don't work out. Like he's so rough, dude. He's so rough. He's such a bad storyteller. He's just intolerable, an intolerable presence. And I saw a lot of Lakers fans online going like, Doc is auditioning to be the Lakers coach while he's calling Lakers games while Darvin Ham is on the hot seat. I'm very happy he's no longer the coach of the Sixers.
I would love for him to be the coach of the Lakers because it would be miserable.
I know you would.
Yeah. All right. Well, we miss you, Doc. And yeah, like, you know what's funny? And the other thing too is, I don't know, were there that many trade rumors like last year? It was just Thibault, right?
Yeah, I mean, Tobias is always in there. But, like, that's part of being in the NBA. Like, I'm sure it's hard for a lot of players, especially young players, to be, like, a part of trade rumors. But that is part of it. That happens regardless of whether or not Daryl goes on a podcast. He certainly doesn't go on podcasts and say, like, yeah, we're probably going to trade Tobias. Probably need to get 6 or 7 players out of here. Like, he's not doing that. And Bill's like, well, they're only adding to the core at OKC. It's like, but that also means they would have to trade someone. That's part of the thing. That's part of the whole deal.
You know, the number one ability is availability, right?
That's right.
As you mentioned, it is time for Star Hunter as we are a month away from the trade deadline. Daryl armed with 3 picks. This is I took the graph from Liberty Ballers about Dejounte Murray. Turner Sports' Chris Haynes said last Friday that the Sixers and Lakers were among the teams that have reached out to, quote, check on the availability of Murray. Haynes later clarified that he didn't believe that Murray was the Sixers', quote, number 1 target, but he is a player of interest. He also said Murray would, quote, likely be traded by the deadline, whether it is to the Sixers or elsewhere, which he added his opinion after, quote, talking to a bunch of different executives. There's also a rumor, I thought I saw a Spurs rumor for Dejounte Murray.
I did see a Spurs rumor for Dejounte.
So, yeah. So we've said it. We've talked about Dejounte Murray a few times. We've talked about Bogdan Bogdonovich a few times. I'm not a Dejounte Murray guy, especially given what it would cost.
What'd you think about him tonight?
He was fine.
He was 5 of 7 from deep, which was nice. Made his game look better.
Is also not, 5 of 7 from deep is not typical for anybody, but
yeah, he did blow a layup, which made me feel like he's a Sixer. Yeah, I mean, he's like a solid. He does a lot of his shot selection is not a shot selection I necessarily love. A lot of pull up from mid range, but when he's shooting from 3, he's big enough and he shoots it high enough where he can elevate over everybody. Did one to Melton. I thought his defense in this game was okay, but I think it's revealing that it's not. The book on him in out of Washington and with San Antonio, he was like how good of a defender he is, how switchable, how long, and it was a lot of Jalen Johnson on Maxey. And I think if Dejounte was even at his peak like a shutdown type of player,
it would have been him.
Then I think it would have been him more often. And yeah, I just at his best, he's like an average defender. I think he's capable of being more, but he hasn't shown it much in the last few years. And I wish he got to the rim more. I'm not dying for it, but if he would be helpful here for sure. He'd be helpful. Would be perfect? No. Bogdan didn't shoot well from 3, but I thought had a better overall, like all-around game.
And he dunked.
He
did dunk.
He gets up shots. I thought he had a couple nice steals. I think he's a really solid passer. Both guys are pretty capable passers as sort of like an off guard, and I think they'd be helpful in the reason why they're so enticing is because they're on a team that's kind of going nowhere, although let them get a win tonight. And their contracts are for a couple more years at like half or even less than half as much as like Zach LaVine's. And DeJounte's still pretty young. Bogdan's 31. But but it's just a helpful. They'd be two helpful players. I think Bogdan's movement shooting and like cutting instincts would be really helpful, but Dejounte's rim pressure, if he did it more consistently, would be really helpful. And he's playing alongside Trae Young, who's not has the ball in his hands a lot. So I'd be fine with both guys. I'm not like banging the table for both guys. The thing that I think about Daryl is like on the off chance that Mikal Bridges becomes available, or Brandon Ingram becomes available, or some of those guys like closer to the perfect fit.
And you spent 2 first-round picks on Dejounte Murray, you're going to want to stick your head at the speeding car.
Exactly. So I think that might mean you lose out on somebody that wants to be dealt, or that the team wants to deal at some point in January or something. But I think Daryl will take that risk on the small percent chance that somebody becomes available, because there's the kind of risk at all players. My like risk at all players were definitely Mikal. Kawhi signs an extension today, so that's an interesting as far as like him becoming available in the offseason. That's not going to happen. They're saying Paul George is working towards an extension. If he signs, that's another guy off the table. There's not a ton of guys that you could go like, yes, this person is worth waiting in the offseason for. OG is probably going to re-sign in New York. Like, if you want a guy, you're going to get the guy now. So I'm like very certain that the Sixers are going to make a move in the next month. I do not know if that person will, if they're signed for longer, probably they'll stay. If they trade for somebody expiring, then it's not a guarantee that they, and Daryl has said that on this podcast, like you can't trade for somebody already knowing you're going to sign him, because if it doesn't work out, then that's how you get into a Tobias situation. He didn't say that, but that's the situation that we were in. But yeah, I mean, John Moran out for the year. Marcus Smart comes into my mind.
Yeah, I think I wrote him on the yeah. Now, how many years does Smart have? He's got to have
2
another
after
year
this
after.
one.
Yeah,
and they traded him to be with Ja, and they traded for him knowing Ja was going to be out for 25 games. Right? Ja played only I think 9 games this year.
I love him, but is he? I'd love to have him on the Sixers, but he is not that offensive player that you want. He certainly has the confidence to do it and will do it.
I think if you traded for him and he shot like 36% from 3 the rest of the year in the playoffs, you'd be thrilled. But the Boston Celtics curse that Al Horford brought upon us hangs over my head. He is going to make some unnecessary plays on offense, but I think his defense is still so good.
I would love to have him.
And I think he could run. He's really turned himself into a very, very capable, like, secondary creator when Maxey's not there, being a guard that can get other guys good shots. He just makes plays. He can steal your possession, get a rebound when you need it, cover. You go small ball with Marcus Smart there, you can put Smart on a center because of how physical he is and how hard a move he is. There's no, aside from those top guys, like there's no perfect one. And those top guys, if they become available, the Sixers could probably be outbid by somebody else, So you almost want somebody else that has.
Marcus Smart's costing you a first-round pick at least.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah,
I think, they traded 2 first-round picks for him this offseason, Memphis. So there's a chance that could happen here. 2 first-round picks, or maybe because he hasn't had a great year, you can go like, all right, 1 first-round pick plus Springer and somebody, and you can try to convince them it's something, but they might just go, we're going to keep him then because we think, we're going to have a solid core next year. Exactly. Yeah. So it's a really tough call. And I think that the answer is to maybe you go, all right, we need backup point guard help now. We can package a couple things like Springer and Korkmaz for DeLon Wright or something, or Monte, and then just go like, let's stabilize stuff when Maxey's down. But I think for the big fish, I think you wait. I think you go to the end to see who shakes loose, because the upside of that is, I think, very high.
Yeah,
and then you have a fallback option, as the clock ticks down.
The Rights to Ricky Sanchez podcast is brought to you by Big Barker Therapeutic Dog Beds. Woof, 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 woof. Big Barker. I have something to tell you. your dog knows that you don't love him that much. He knows. You tell him you love him, you take him for walks, get him treats, and then what do? You send that dog to sleep on a fake bed. Wakes up every morning, the dog wakes up, was wondering why his neck feels so tight, wondering why its legs are, cramping, wondering why the arthritis is sneaking in there. It's because you don't have a good bed for your dog. Go to bigbarker.com/Ricky. Get your dog a Big Barker. bigbarker.com/Ricky. Not only will you get 2 Process Pup patches for free if you go to bigbarker.com/Ricky, you get the only dog bed engineered by experts to support your dog's joints. You can see the difference in the pictures. You can feel the difference when you've ordered it and it's there in front of you. And your dog will feel the difference in your dog's body, like a improvement in joint function, reduction in pain severity, reduction in joint stiffness, all that stuff that happens because your dog is sleeping on something that isn't a real bed is really just like a pillow. Bigbarker.com/Ricky. I know I say big. They have the Barker Jr. for little dogs all the way up to the extra large. You have the Big Barker with the headrest, without the headrest, different colors. I'm telling you, this is the one. Go to bigbarker.com/Ricky. There's a 10-year warranty. The foam doesn't flatten or they replace it for free. A 1-year at-home trial. If you don't like it, if your dog doesn't like it, they give you full refund and they pay for the shipping. Handmade in the USA. Big Barker dog beds. Sort of related to star hunting, a comment from a listener and also an accusation toward you. Where is it? Here we go. 833 Lickface.
Hey, Spike, Mike, and CJ. I just wanted to call. I keep hearing you guys talk about 2 minor player names, the Sixers' potential small upgrades. I don't know what you want to call them. Andre Drummond and DeLon Wright. First off, Andre Drummond, we had him here, and we talked about how he wasn't going to be able to be played in the playoffs. And now it's like we're not even talking about that. I watched him in the Nets series against Boston, I think, a year or 2 ago, and he couldn't play. He's the only center, and they barely played him. I mean, Claxton was bad at that point. They started playing him more. He just isn't good. I don't know why we're even talking about possibly trading Paul Reed for him. Paul Reed is awesome. Yeah, he does some stupid things, whatever. And then the other one, which everyone might be wondering, why does Mike keep talking about DeLon Wright? The only reason I guarantee Mike is talking about DeLon Wright so much is because he's a part of fantasy basketball leagues, and DeLon Wright's a stud in fantasy because he gets steals, and everybody loves him that is obsessed with fantasy basketball. In real life, he's not that good. He's not a great three-point shooter like Mike says. Yeah, career 35%, I get it. But those are fluky numbers with career lows, and they're going down. He had like 3 seasons in a row that were good. Besides that, no. He's average at best, maybe you could describe him, but he barely has any attempts. Just everyone needs to know the reason he keeps saying it is because Mike plays fantasy basketball, and people love him and are obsessed with him when they play fantasy basketball. That's it. No DeLon Wright. You don't need him at all.
Specifically, let me make your point even better than you made it. Specifically, he won me a fantasy basketball championship against John Gonzalez when I picked him up on the last day of the season, and he got me 4 steals. DeLon is a totally fine shooter. He shot for 3 years in a row, 37%, 37.2, and 37.9. The last 2 years, he's barely played this year, but he's 34% over the last 2 years combined, which is a little bit low. But like, he's not a starter. He's a guy you want to bring in for like 12 minutes a game. He's an excellent defensive player. He's a good floor general, and he hits foul shots. He's totally fine. I just think he would be very nice either with Maxey, because he can play a little bit of point guard and let Maxey fly off screens, and he can definitely organize the offense without him, because there's just some of those non-Maxey minutes, man, are really, really bleak. That lineup I read earlier is absolutely brutal. It shouldn't be that way. But yeah, DeLon Wright did win me a fantasy basketball championship, and he should win one for the Sixers. That championship DNA that we're missing. Do you think he feels that? I think DeLon feels that he won me one. I think he feels
that he won you a fantasy championship.
Yeah, and I think he would bring it into the Sixers in a good way.
Final star.
What was the other thing? Oh, Drummond.
Drummond.
I'm not saying we talked about it like once when we played the Bulls.
Yeah.
But I think if the Sixers wanted if BBall's being funky and they wanted a different look in a playoff series or in the event of Joel missing a game or two, Andre Drummond would be helpful. I don't think he's very good. There's a reason why he's signed to basically the minimum, and why he's not getting long-term contracts anymore. But like, he's an excellent defensive rebounder. That's a weakness for this team without Joel. He's a fine rim protector. He can screen and roll. He doesn't try to do too much usually. And yeah, if you traded look, I like Jaden Springer, but I would trade Jaden Springer for Andre Drummond just to have like some more backup center insurance in a playoff series this season. Like, it's about winning this season. Jaden's not in the rotation for the most part when they're healthy. Like, that's what you got to do. So I'm not dying for Drummond, but if Nick Nurse is, I'd rather Drummond than like Marcus Morris backup center.
Oh God, it's not a great choice.
But that's what they've been running that out. Like, there's so many times when it's Tobias or Marcus Morris is the only one back, and they may as well be like laying down. They may as well be like taking a little nap in the lane, because that's how much they are impacting the play finishing. Just not doing that much down there. So at least Drummond can get a hand in there and force a tough shot, get a rebound. I don't think he's that great. I'm not a Drummond guy. I never really have been, but he would be Embiid insurance for a guy that we know gets injured a lot, and BBall gets a lot of, fluky fouls and stuff. So you got to be prepared for that kind of thing.
Last one, 833 Lickface.
Spike and Mike, Dan here from Vermont. I am having a Star Hunter question. Why haven't we been talking about Colin Sexton? The guy plays so hard. He's jumping all over the floor. He's slapping the hardwood, which we need. We've wanted for a long time. Maybe that was a while ago, but he's done it. Plays hard on defense. Pretty good guard. I don't know, tell me what you think. Non-basketball question. As a bartender, what do you guys order at the bar? Thanks.
Colin Sexton.
I feel like Colin Sexton, there's a reasonable case to be made that Colin Sexton is a little underrated. He can absolutely get to the rim. He is a streaky shooter. He's had years where he's good as a shooter. He's had years when he's real bad. But for the most part, he's 37.5% from his career. Good shooting at the line, over 83%. Like, as far as a relatively good sixth man, occasional, like, can be an offense, can engine an offense without Maxey out there, I think it'd be fine. I just don't know that I'm like, that's the guy I'm spending the assets for. If we were to get, say Lauri Markkanen becomes available and you need to make the money work because you're trading Tobias in it. If they're throwing somebody else in there, I would be very fine accepting him. He's got 2 more years after this one at relatively fair value. You could trade it eventually. But if you got to do like Sexton, Markkanen, Kelly Olynyk, I'm extremely happy about that. I think that makes them a better team. If that's like Sexton, Markkanen, Olynyk for like Tobias Harris and Jaden Springer, like
Sexton,
and obviously like all of our picks, I think that would be fine.
Sexton, excellent third guard, I think. I think that's the...
Yeah, it's just the thing that I don't think you can play him with Maxey for more than like a couple gimmicky moments, because both guys will get exploited on defense. That Sexton does try on defense and does have a high motor, and I like how much he gives a shit. That's fun. If you remember, Spike, you might not, but there was a famous overtime game when he was at Alabama where they kept having guys foul out, and he was playing 3-on-5.
Really?
And like scored and did some stuff. It was very fun. But so like there's like a level of like good psychotic to him that I like in a backup guard. But I just think, he's a one position defender. He's not gonna get you many plays on defense, and I think it's gonna be tough to play him and Maxey together aside from a little bit. So is it Maxey insurance because if Maxey goes down, they're pretty fucked. Maybe, but it's not a great use of their value unless he's getting used to like make salary work in a Tobias trade. So, but you would do that. You would trade all the picks, Tobias, Springer, 3 firsts for Lowry, Olynyk, and Colin Sexton
in a second.
No, I knew you would.
Yeah.
I think that would make them a better team and deeper and also more versatile. I think that would help.
Yes. Lowry in this starting lineup? Lowry,
but I wouldn't trade just for Sexton there because I think that's a poor use of assets just to get him there.
That's fair. End it on a couple of listener feedbacks. This is 833 Lickface.
Spike, Mike, CJ, and Daryl. It's Wesley, first-time caller, long-time listener. I'm just wondering, I've recently seen a picture circulating online of James Harden high-fiving Bradley Beal's wife and locking hands after they beat the Suns. Now, this made me think of when Spike mentioned that he knew James Harden had a lot of sex. So I'm just wondering, maybe there's a correlation here. Thanks, guys.
Mike, what do you think?
I really like callers when it sounds like they're doing something else. And they're kind of like,
hey, I got to call the guys. Hang on a second.
Juggling or like restocking like shelves or something. I like it. I think that's a good energy.
Have you seen the photo?
I haven't seen it, but I'm not. Look, you will until you reveal on this podcast live in front of everyone why you believe strongly that James Harden actually has a lot of sex, aside from the image that he wants to put out into the universe that he does.
Yeah. I do have inside information about him having a lot of sex.
Yeah, just because you have a dildo hip doesn't mean you know how much sex
everything about
having.
Sex. let me tell you about my dildo hip. This comes from Pedro, writes RickySanchez@gmail.com. Spike, Mike, and CJ, the reports that the Siakam trade to the Kings fell through because he wouldn't sign an extension got me thinking, sure, Sacramento is one of the least attractive markets, but they have a young playoff team with 2 recent All-NBA players, both under 28 years old, needing to upgrade precisely at Pascal's position. Why wouldn't he want a max contract there? If it doesn't work out, he could figure it out later. I know why. Siakam has already told his friend and Cameroon countryman Joel Embiid that he's coming this summer. I doubt Daryl's plan is to hoard cap space, cross his fingers, and hope a max player shakes loose in the summer. He knows Siakam is coming, and Daryl didn't have to tamper to do that. Embiid did all the recruiting. Mike, your thoughts?
They're apparently from very different parts of Cameroon, so it's not like they grew up across the street from each other. I remember reading that in the past. I mean, before this season, I was definitely higher on Siakam than I am now. I think his attitude this season, winning with him, Scotty Barnes has clearly surpassed him as far as like the most valuable player on that team. He's a better player than Tobias is, but similarly reluctant from 3. I like the creation ability of Pascal, but I'm not dying for it. But I don't understand why he wouldn't want to re-sign in Sacramento. Why right away he would say, now, do not trade for me. I'm not going there. I just don't get it. Like,
maybe he doesn't want to live there.
But I think that's a mistake. Like,
do you want to live in Sacramento?
You don't have to live in Sacramento for the rest of your life. But if I had the job of NBA player, I would live anywhere. A couple years in Sacramento, that sounds sick. And then a couple years somewhere else. You move around. I think this idea that you have to be during the season, that you have to be in LA or New York or Miami, I think it's pretty ridiculous. I have to be in LA for my job, but
says the guy who's already in LA. Jeez.
But I romanticize, dude. I went to Memphis for Young Rock, and I was like, I would live in Memphis. I'd live anywhere. Went to Mexico City for a wedding. I was like, I'll live in Mexico City. It's just like, go anywhere. Try it out. A couple years. You're young. Get a nice condo. You don't have to live there forever. I think that guys in the NBA, and more so than other sports, are like so focused on that stuff. And I don't think it matters. I would rather be in a good organization. Now the Kings haven't been a good organization for very long, but they seem to be now.
So focused on where they want to live and spend their life.
For a little bit. Grow up. Play in Sacramento. If there became a TV industry in Sacramento or a movie industry in Sacramento where I could live and work, I would live there for 2 years. Why not? Live anywhere for 2 years. Seems great. I'd go to Indianapolis. I'd go to Cleveland. A little cold.
Oh,
a little cold. But you have to go there anyway because you're traveling. Half the time during the season, you're traveling anyway. It's 41 games. Like, it's just not that long. I think it's ridiculous. I think these kids are thinking too short term. Go live in Sacramento. It seems like it'd be very fun to play alongside De'Aaron Fox and Domantas Sabonis. That'd be a fun team. They'd have a chance at winning a round or two in the West. I'm upset on Sacramento's behalf.
That caller wanted to know what you order at the bar.
At the bar.
Yeah.
Does that mean like
what's your go-to drink?
When I get, is it physically not at a bar, but at the bar when I like walk up to the bar and ask for something?
Yep.
I usually make it easy and quick and I'll just get a beer. But I like the occasional, I like a Negroni, I like an old fashioned. I like a vodka martini, but I'm not ordering it at a bar, at the bar usually.
Yeah, that's at dinner.
That's a dinner situation.
I'll go the martini.
Alyssa makes a good martini here. The occasional Paloma at a good place.
Like Mike, CJ, Harold.
What's a Paloma? Sorry, I hit a button. Sorry. What's a Paloma? I don't even know what a Paloma is.
What's in a Paloma? Paloma is a grapefruit tequila, lime wedge on the rocks.
Sounds good. Oh, I don't like tequila. I do like grapefruit though.
In the occasion, I like a mezcal margarita more than a tequila margarita for some reason.
So
how about you?
I just bourbon straight or vodka, bourbon neat or vodka. Like that's it.
There's no way you can say that without smirking a little. Like, yeah.
Like, and then I'm tough.
Yeah. There's no way you could say it. There's no way you can release that from your mouth without giving off a little bit of like, yeah, I said that, didn't I?
I think I like an old fashioned. Most bars where you order an old fashioned is too sweet, and then I don't want it.
Yeah.
I do like a martini. I do like a Manhattan occasionally, and if I'm in a fancy place, I will look to see if they've got something good and fancy. But I'm just a straight booze kind of guy.
And that little smirk. The smirk doesn't cost any extra when you say it to the bartender.
Yeah, I'll go. You got stateside here? They're like, yeah. I was like, just give me stateside neat, no ice.
But that's the thing is, if you're going to a bar and you're doing it, you're literally not asking them for anything that you couldn't do at home.
You're correct. Yeah, but
at least if you're ordering like a drink, it's like, well, they make it very well here. These are professionals. But if you're asking them to just simply pour a liquid into a glass and hand it to you, it seems a little.
Well, for food, I just asked them to bring out a bowl full of grapes or cherries.
Yeah, that's good. Well, consistent, I guess. Yeah. Bowl of grapes, please. Bowl of grapes. Here, I'll bring my own grapes. Can you just put it in a bowl?
Yeah, it's a BYOG. It's
But I just like the bowl that they use for the grapes.
Yeah.
No, I get that.
All right, we will talk to you Saturday morning. Are you down with TTP?
Yeah. You? No. Like face. Win a game.